my gosh, this is so exciting. First off, those testimonies. Oh my gosh, like beautiful testimonies. I was standing in the back and I was like, I don't think I have to get up and give this talk because he just said exactly what I was gonna say. So praise God, that's incredible. So the topic tonight, overcoming comparison. Also, I include expectations and peer pressure. Yes, we're gonna get into it tonight. But before we get into it, I thought I'd introduce myself a little bit. I have been on the mic a little bit this year, but like I don't feel like I've really like given like a full introduction of who I am. So as you can see, my name is Anna Turek. And then the bottom middle is this infamous bald cap that I bought in college. Okay, guys, I tried to find it for Follower Tree, and I think it's gone. I don't know. Maybe one of my cats ate it. Like, I have no idea. But this bald cap, I bought it for Halloween. Didn't come in during Halloween at all. I bought it like 2 days before because I wanted to be a pit bull. But it's literally the worst bald cap in the world. Like it is so thick. Like it's not like thin like good bald caps are. Like it's really thick. It feels like a hat on top of your head. And also you can't really see it because it's pretty far away. But the forehead had like pre-wrinkles on it. It was so good. It was so good. And I probably had over 50 people put on that bald cap. That's a story for another time, but I've had a lot of people put on that bald cap, okay? No lice. We had no lice. No lice. Now let's get down to business, everybody, okay? Now, when I was praying about this talk, the biggest thing that the Lord put on my heart is that I'm going to be honest, like, I don't think I'm going to say anything that you don't already know tonight. I don't think there's anything really new because like comparison, expectations, peer pressure is talked about by everyone. It's such a common experience in middle school and high school and in college, every part of your life that like I genuinely don't think I'm going to say something that is new to you. However, I do believe that the Lord wants to break through in us tonight a new type of vulnerability. A new vulnerability that like breaks open our hearts before the Lord, where we can actually address these things in like a real light rather than just being like, yeah, I'm gonna say no to this thing. Like I'm gonna say no to peer pressure. But it's like, what does that actually mean? Like, how do we actually do that? So to kind of get us started into this like vulnerability, I thought I would be a little bit vulnerable, okay? So what I did for all of you tonight here at the Vine, I re-downloaded Snapchat. Okay. And I have pulled 4 pictures from each year that I was in high school. But here are my pictures. This is really vulnerable for me, guys. Okay. So, starting on the far left, that is freshman year. That picture says, "Hello, my name is Anna, and I think Michael Cera is hilarious. Sue me." Girl, no one's gonna sue you. Literally, no one's gonna sue you. He is a comedian. The second picture, I think is sophomore year. I think it was taken at like 3 a.m. I don't know what I'm doing. Like pimple cream on, like girl, like go to bed. You know what I'm saying? Go to bed. The third picture, this one is, when I found this one, I like physically cringed at myself. It says, that's a Perrier, by the way, sparkling water. Anybody? And that says, "I have this. It called crackhead juice." Like the physical reaction. Yeah, I can see some people like covering their faces. It was bad. It was bad, okay? And then the last picture was from senior year, and it's just the like 2019, 2020 like yeah, yeah. Hey, and you can take pictures. I can see some people taking some pictures of those. But the reason why I wanted to start here was first of all, it's really funny, and looking back at these, it was really funny. But also because when I started praying about this talk, the Lord took me to this like really personal time in my prayer where I looked back at myself in high school. I met Jesus 7 years ago when I was 15 years old. I gave my life to him. My entire life changed from that moment on. And yet, comparison and peer pressure and expectations still plagued my life up until like fairly recently. And I think what the Lord wants to speak and what he spoke to me when I was going back and I was like really reflecting on myself in high school and how I thought about myself and the things that I said to myself, like what the Lord wanted me to do was to speak truth over that and subsequently speak truth over you guys. Speak the truth that like there is more for you. And we're going to get into that. Oh yeah, there's more for her. And you too. Right, I had that. I want to to get everybody on the same page with the terms that we're talking about here. Everybody knows. Like, I'm sure I could pull any random person out of the audience and you could give me a definition of what this is. But I wanted to kind of go a deep dive. Because if we're going to bring freedom into our lives, we actually have to know what we're encountering first when we proclaim freedom. So the first one is comparison. Comparison. This is very simply comparing yourself to other people. This happened to me a lot when it came to my schoolwork when I was in high school. Compared myself almost constantly because I was considered an honors kid. Like, I was in the higher math, I was in the higher English, I was in the higher, the APs, everything. And I expected myself to be like the smartest person. And I remember like conversations and being like, geez, like they are like way ahead of me on this. Like, they understood that concept. I have no idea what's going on. And it really took a toll on the way that I saw myself, even in college. I started to realize in college that I had put such a weight on myself from comparing my grades and my academic performance that I didn't actually think I was smart anymore. Which, when I told my friends that, when I told my family that, they were like, what are you talking about? You are so intelligent. And I was like, no, for years I did not believe that I was actually intelligent because I spent so long, like 5 years, constantly comparing myself. But the Lord has more. Yes or yes? Next one, peer pressure. Ooh, peer pressure. This one is funny to me because, like, everybody's like, say no to peer pressure. Did anybody do DARE? Was anybody in the DARE program? Yeah. And like, say no to peer pressure. That's what they said. Like, they would lay out all the drugs and they'd be like, say no to peer pressure. And when I was like reflecting on this and I was like, Lord, what do you have here? Because like there's so many people who talk about peer pressure, right? Like, what do you have? What do you want to say? And I think like it was funny to me at first because all we address like as a society is like the external peer pressure of like someone like telling you to do something or whatever. And like, I'm gonna be honest, I don't know if I've ever experienced that. I'm 23 years old. I don't know if anybody's ever been like, you literally have to gossip right now, or like you have to leave. Like, no one's ever done that, or been like, you have to drink this alcohol right now, or you have to leave this party. It's like, nobody's ever done that to me. Maybe they've done that to you, and I'm so sorry you're in that situation. But it's all been internally, right? Of me watching what my peers are doing, and I'm like, oh, well, they're doing that. I should really do that too, right? Like, I want to belong. I want to be here with the group, so I guess I'll do that. Like, I think it's less of like this external voice that's speaking into our lives and more of this like quiet whisper of our hearts, but I want to belong. But I want to. And so then that quiet voice kind of tempts us and brings us closer to the things that originally, maybe 5 years before that, we would be like, no, I would never do that. But then now, because that quiet little voice is in there, you've said yes to it. And I've been there. Trust me, I have been there. I have many stories, even post-conversion, of me succumbing to the internal peer pressure inside of me because I wanted to belong so badly. Because I wanted to be part of the group, because I wanted to have the high school experience or the college experience. But the Lord has more, yes or yes? Last one, expectations. Ooh, expectations. Again, a really hard part of my high school experience. As I said, I had really high expectations for myself. When I was in high school, I did theater. Can you tell? I was a theater kid. I was in kind of not a great theater group. There were some really toxic things kind of going on between the director and the students. It was just like a very high pressure environment. And I put such a high expectation that I was supposed to be perfect at whatever scene I was doing, that I was supposed to capture the very essence of the scene so well that it broke through to everyone. Like, that was the expectation I put on myself. And when I didn't reach it, like the entire way home from the theater, it was just like, wow, you didn't do that right. You didn't do that right. Just constant telling myself over and over and nitpicking. Because I put such a high expectation on myself. When like I was 16. What are you talking about? Like, you're not gonna like have like an Oscar level performance, girl. You like don't really know how to use your limbs. Like, what are you talking about? You know what I'm saying? It's like, because when we sit here, and as I was reflecting on these things and remembering these things from high school, I was like, well, of course, like, why would you even expect yourself to do that? Why would you listen to that voice? Why would you compare yourself to that person? Like, you're not them. But it's like, but I still do it. When I was reflecting on this topic, I just started to get so frustrated because it felt like the only answer was just like say no. Just like reject it. And I was like, but it still happens. Like, regardless how many times I say no to comparing myself to someone, I still do it. What am I supposed to do? Or the amount of times that, like, I still put a high expectation on myself and I'm still getting disappointed. I can't just not do it because I want to succeed. Succeeding is not a bad thing. So what do I do? This is the frustration that was coming out in prayer. I just was getting so frustrated because the world doesn't offer a good enough answer. Like, saying no is just simply not enough. And so I just was like crying out to the Lord. I was like, Lord, what else is there? If it's not enough, then what else is there? And this solution is like so simple. That's why this year's simplicity. Solution is like so simple. Because what all of these things are, comparison, peer pressure, and expectations, when you really boil it all down, it comes from this very old biblical lie that was placed inside of our hearts from literally the beginning of Genesis. That is, but I'm not enough. Then the story of Genesis, when Eve eats the apple, it's because she wants to be like God. So she views herself as not enough. This is a lie that is so enlaced in humanity that it still to this day plagues all of our hearts. And so what's the solution? Thank you for asking. Bridget said it in her testimony. I was like, oh, girl, yes, let's talk about it. It's freedom. And you're like, Anna, what does that even mean? Like, how connect the dots for me, girl. The solution is the gospel. And I know that if you've been to multiple vines at this point, you've probably heard the gospel more times than you can count on both hands. And I'm sure you're like, I get it, like the gospel. I get it, like, whatever. But what I realized as I was like reflecting on this topic and asking the Lord and praying for you guys is that what really transforms all of these things in our lives, comparison and expectations and peer pressure, is that we have to have a renewal of the mind. These things are not going away. In the 23 years that I have lived on this earth, not once have I not had an experience of comparing myself or having high expectations on myself or experiencing peer pressure because I have peers and they pressure me. It just is how it is. These things are not going to escape your life. But Paul tells us in Romans 12:2, I want to read it from scripture. I probably could recite it, but I want to read it because these words are so powerful when it comes to this topic. He says, do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that you may prove what is the will of God, what is good and acceptable and perfect. A renewal of your mind is the inheritance that you have been bought from the cross. And that's why the gospel is like actually so critical and why I don't want you to tune out at this point in the talk. The gospel is so critical because if you want a renewal of the mind, if you want to actually face comparison, expectations, and peer pressure, and them not internalize inside of you and become a reason for you to inflict violence against yourself, if you want them to be ways that you actually encounter the living person of Jesus Christ, the gospel has to be the very foundation of your heart. It has to be. Because what does the gospel tell us? It proclaims over us our very identity. When we know our identity as a son and a daughter, we know that we have the inheritance that has been bought for us from the cross. When we know this, then all of these things, they fall. They fall down at the foot of the cross because, as both Erica and Bridget said, he's the only thing that matters. He's the only thing. So I'm going to preach the gospel, and you better turn your ears on because this is the best story that you will ever hear. The gospel is that you were created for love and to be loved by love. But we stepped away from that love. We separated ourselves from that. But love had a plan because he always has a plan. He sent his only son, Jesus Christ, down to earth to suffer and die so that you could experience the inheritance of heaven. You didn't have that before. Before he came down and died for you, you couldn't receive the glory of heaven. You weren't considered a son or daughter. But this sacrifice right here, this man bought it for you. He bought you freedom from comparing yourself. He bought you freedom from expectations, and he bought you freedom from temptation, from sin, and peer pressure. He bought that all for you. That is your life. Claim it. Claim it. When I was in high school, if I had heard something like that, I think it would have completely changed the trajectory of the way that I lived the next 7 years of my life. I did meet the Lord. I did. And it completely changed my life. But if I had let the gospel become the very foundation of my life, if I had let the gospel penetrate my very heart, become the only voice that mattered, my life would have looked very different. And the stories that I just told you, I don't think would have existed. And I believe tonight that that is what the Lord has for each and every one of you, is complete and total freedom. It is possible. I have seen it. The Lord wants to proclaim it over you. So the invitation tonight is that you would let the gospel penetrate your heart. You would let the gospel become the only voice that matters. Because once you do that, this renewal, this transformation that Paul speaks of so eloquently in Romans, can become a reality, and that's what the Lord wants for you. That's what the Lord has wanted for you from the very moment that you were created into existence. That is the reality that he wants for you.